If you have ever walked out of a cinema because the film was so bad, what one was it? I've not, but when I saw In Bruges, an elderly couple walked out after 20 minutes and I heard the man muttering that this wasn't a film about Belgium at all. It really tickled me. Holmes and Watson, my family really enjoyed Step Brothers and Talladega Nights. So I shouted the five of us to the movies on Christmas Day because for some reason the cinemas were open and it was showing and we don't really do big celebrations. 15 minutes into the movie we all looked at each other like, WTF is this? I tried to leave. I went to ask for a refund because their policy said you can get a refund 30 minutes into the movie. But we were 5 minutes late because of the 20-minute trailers. I'm still seething about spending $100 to basically die of boredom for an hour and a half. I was sitting there embarrassed about suggesting the family outing. My family stuck it out because I'd paid for it and couldn't get a refund even though I told them I didn't care and begged to leave. Oh, I remember vividly. It was Battlefield Earth. The shot angles kept being tilted this way and that for no reason and I started tilting my head so that things would be level. Then my friend joined in. Then we simultaneously were like, are we going to cramp our necks for this? And walked out. I've got a story of a film my friends and I refused to leave, actually. In 2006 I was turning 14 and was obsessed with Pirates of the Caribbean. My mom threw a Pirates-themed birthday party where my friends and I were meant to go to see Dead Man's Chest, which was still in theaters in August when the party was. We dressed up for it and everything. Well, for some reason the showing we were going to see was packed despite the movie having been out over a month, so there weren't 12 tickets available. My mother, and my friend's mom who came along, made a split-second decision to see the next PG-13 rated movie available. Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby. So a gaggle of 14-year-old girls dressed as pirates walked into this theater to a bunch of weird looks, but we sat down with our popcorn as normal. The next hour and a half-ish saw the moms be horrified at the crass nature of the film and keep asking if we wanted to leave. The answer was a hell no from the whole group. That movie proceeded to be the basis of our inside jokes for the next 4 years. To this day it's one of our collective favorite grade school memories, even if my mother continues to be embarrassed by it. I guess this technically counts, but when I went to see Deadpool 2, the cinema accidentally put the wrong film on and played some Amy Schumer film instead. Everyone in the screen thought it was some meta Deadpool joke and out of nowhere he'd appear and shoot Amy Schumer, so we were all waiting on that. After about 10 minutes of the film, the staff came into the screen and explained that they had put the wrong film on and couldn't undo it because of their tight schedule etc., but we would all get a refund and were welcome to stay and watch the rest of the Amy Schumer film. Everyone left. I left frozen when I was 11 because I was scared LMAO. I've never walked out of a movie and I saw Cats opening weekend. Way back in the 70s the movie Freaks, 1932, was re-released due to being banned in America for 40 years. My dad, my brother-in-law and myself went to see it. My dad is a extremely straight-lace, no humor type of guy and we couldn't figure out why he wanted to see it. It was pretty wild for my dad, but he made it through it. However, the second feature, a horror film called Private Parts, 1972, not Howard Stern's movie, was a bit much for Dad. During a scene where the main character was fucking an inflatable doll full of water and injecting it with blood drawn from a victim, my dad stood up and said in a loud voice, "This is disgusting," and he walked out. My brother-in-law was right behind him. My brother and myself sat there laughing for about another 5 minutes before we got up and left. They were waiting out front for us and Dad says he was only going to wait another minute before leaving and we would have had to walk home. I walked out of 28 days later. Not because it was bad. I was 9 years old and snuck in and it was freaking me the fuck out. Watched it years later and enjoyed it. Epic movie. Wasn't epic at all. My parents took me and my sister to see a cool-looking superhero movie when we were kids. That movie was Watchmen. My parents pulled us out after the big blue penis scene. Edit for clarification, not to say it's a bad movie, it's one of my favorite movies. Downsizing. Man, did this movie have a great premise as a potential funny comedy. But out of nowhere it turned into some weird political love story. I remember in the middle of this movie audibly saying out loud, "Where the fuck is this story going? I don't know how you screw this up," but they did. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Once we got to the montages that were all of season 1, they didn't think were worth it. It was clear this wasn't the show I loved. Never walked out of a movie. The closest I came to walking out was Mortal Kombat: Annihilation. Man, what a steaming shit pile of a movie. I didn't walk out though. But someone else did. He stood up halfway through the movie, yelled out, "This movie fucking sucks." Then farted loudly, and left. That man is a king today. A legend that my friends today still remember fondly. It was the fart that cemented his legend. I've only ever walked out of one movie, and that was The Last Airbender, directed by M. Night Shyamalan. As a fan of the original animated series, I was excited to see a live-action adaptation, but the movie was a huge disappointment. The acting was wooden, the script was clunky, and the special effects were underwhelming. I made it about halfway through the movie before I decided that my time was better spent doing something else. It's rare for me to walk out of a movie, but The Last Airbender was just that bad. What's the most creative song lyric you've ever heard? I wish Elle didn't know now, what Elle didn't know then. Bob Seger. I'm the hip-hop-opotamus. My lyrics are bottomless. Awkward pause. I've had recurring nightmares that I was loved for who I am and missed the opportunity to be a better man. Hoodoo, Muse. Weird Al, one more minute. I'm stranded all alone, on the gas station of love, and I have to use the self-service pump. I was so ahead of the curve became a sphere. Fell behind all of my classmates and I ended up here. Can't believe how strange it is to be anything at all. Neutral Milk Hotel in an aeroplane over the sea. If you must die, sweetheart, die knowing your life was my life's best part. Keaton Henson. If we were vampires and death was a joke, we'd go out on the sidewalk and smoke. And laugh at all the lovers and their plans. I wouldn't feel the need to hold your hand. Maybe time running out is a gift. I'll work hard till the end of my shift. And give you every second I can find. And hope it isn't me who's left behind. Jason Isbell. I know someday you'll have a beautiful life. I know you'll be a star in somebody else's sky. But why can't it be mine? Pearl Jam. This one gets me every time. 1 for the money, 2 for the better green. 3,4-methylenedioxymethamphetamine. All outta ale, MF Doom. An oldie but a goldie. I said I'm so happy I might die. She said drop dead, then left with another guy. Well, I know I'm a million times as humble as thou art. Amish Paradise. Rhymes, fits the theme, is a funny joke, flows nicely. I know it's a bit cheesy, but this always got me as a creative way to reiterate a point. If heaven and hell decide that they both are satisfied, illuminate the no S on their vacancy signs. From Death Cab for Cutie, I will follow you into the dark. And then one day you find, 10 years have got behind you. No one told you when to run, you missed the starting gun. Pink Floyd, Time. Edit, wow. Wow, thank you for the gifts and love. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice, free will, Rush. What was the wildest way you found out you were being cheated on? She didn't realize that her iPhone messages were also synchronized to her Mac, which I was using to stream movies on. I saw text popping up with her writing to her ex about how she loved taking his load on her face. I just packed up my shit and left. My entire friend group knew about it, and I only found out after the one real homie blackmailed her into admitting it. And when she did, it was the most insincere shit ever. It's no big deal, everyone else thinks it's okay, and stuff like that. Suffice to say, I got my ass out of that relationship and friendship group real quick. Her other boyfriend, who I didn't know existed, and I had a mutual friend who put 2 and 2 together and told me. I said I wanted to meet him, so he called him over. We talked out some things and then called her together at my suggestion. Good times were had by all minus one. He was drunk at his 21st, and while joking around with his friends he started listing off all the women he'd slept with in the last year. I was standing right there and we'd been dating for 2 years at that point. He apparently wrote an address wrong and the love letter he wrote was returned to our home. It was a great way to come back from vacation. One of her friends was a photographer and wanted to do tasteful nudes, which apparently includes penetration. And multiple days of getting the right shot. We had a shared Google Drive, which her friend didn't know we shared. She demanded to read all the messages on my phone. I said no problem, but only if I could read the messages on hers. She had forgotten to delete a message from a guy saying all we ever do is fuck, can't we hang out sometime? There was nothing on my phone. Date night cancelled day of. I decided to make it a guy's night to see the new Marvel movie at the time. As we entered, I saw her sitting at the theater snuggling up with a guy. Our seats were a few rows back, saw them kiss a couple times. When we all left at the end of the movie they were exiting their aisle as we walked down the stairs. She absolutely froze when she saw me. Blocked her on everything while I'm in parking lot. I was visiting a dying relative in hospital so could not attend some stupid college party he and his roommate organized. I told him I couldn't go and asked him if he could come over later, after visiting hours in the hospital, because I knew my relative would die soon and I really just needed someone to be there with me. He said he probably wouldn't be able to, as he needed to help his roommate with party preparations, but would come over later if they finish early. Next day I saw pictures of him with his ex in his lap, kissing, uploaded the previous night by his roommate. The roommate even knew we were dating, he was just too drunk to realize he added me as a friend a week earlier on Facebook and I would see the pictures. Her parents told me. Too recent to relieve but hey race how it went. Got a random text on Insta asking if I am OP and new ex. Responded saying yes. She literally replied saying congrats, your girlfriend is sleeping with my boyfriend followed by a barrage of screenshots she had gotten from her boyfriend's phone. Not me but my dad. His girlfriend at the time had been cheating on him with his friend, who didn't know they were in a relationship. My dad found out when his friend told him he was gonna propose to her. She tasted like smoke, but was a non-smoker. Not really wild but my ex-wife and I owned a small business together. One day I noticed a strange email address on the office computer. Her first name and a different last name. I realized that email was still logged in so I took a peek. I found 2 years worth of emails between my ex and some dude she dated before me. So I printed out every email and had it bound in a binder ready to present to my divorce lawyer.